Let's kick things off with Chapter 1 of our journey through the biological world. Now, 3D graphics like the one you're seeing right here, they aren't just pretty pictures. They are absolutely crucial tools for us. I mean, they literally allow us to visualize the invisible. This DNA double helix is basically the microscopic source code sitting inside almost every single living cell, silently directing the whole shebang, the breathtaking complexity of life. To put the sheer density of this invisible data into perspective for you, if you were to uncoil all the DNA in your body, it would stretch to the sun and back over 60 times. That's insane, right? It's like a microscopic ladder where every single rung holds the secrets of who we are, how we grow, and how we actually survive.
Welcome to The Explainer, the micro to macro journey of life. Today we're going to be zooming all the way out from the microscopic mechanics of existence right into the wild, vibrant biodiversity that shares our planet.
Okay, let's dive into this, because before life gets big, it starts out incredibly small. Look at the stunning details in these 3D microbes. Trillions of microscopic bacteria just like these completely outnumber us. They're functioning as the silent engines of the Earth. These little pill-like structures are completely invisible to the naked eye, yet their interactions dictate the balance of entire ecosystems. But, you gotta wonder, how do these tiny, basic structures actually know what to do or what to become?
Well, that brings us right to genetics. The study of heredity, sure, but think of it more like the ultimate study of biological data transfer. It's the behind-the-scenes mechanics dictating exactly how that 3D code we just looked at is copied and expressed. It's the literal reason a tiny little seed knows it needs to grow into a massive oak tree. Oh, and here's a wildly fun fact for you. You actually share about 60% of your genetic code with a banana. No joke. Genetics provides the ultimate blueprint. It is the raw source code for literally every living thing.
Let's move to and see how this builds. So once that genetic blueprint is locked in, developmental biology takes the wheel. You can think of this as the ultimate biological construction project. It's where a single cell reads that genetic code and organizes itself into a complex, fully formed embryo. So we've essentially gone from writing the code to compiling it into physical form, all guided by these deep, invisible biological instructions.
Now, let's zoom out completely. That fully constructed organism doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It steps right onto the grand stage of environmental biology. This is the fascinating space where life collides with non-living factors. It acts as the runtime environment where a biological code is really put to the test against sunlight, soil, water, weather, you name it. Out here at this macro scale, biology becomes this massive, interconnected web of relationships.
But hey, before we go exploring all those amazing creatures out in the wild, we have to ask an absolutely essential question. Why are experiments actually necessary for biological theory? I mean, we can't just assume we know how life works, right? We need a highly concrete, objective system to actually solve biological problems.
Because without rigorous testing, biology is just, well, guesswork. To really get it right, biological problem-solving relies on highly reliable theories, laws, and strict inductive or deductive reasoning. Biologists lean heavily on mathematical models and hard data. When a scientist forms a hypothesis, they don't just leave it there, they test it relentlessly. Experiments are literally the only way to prove our theories are highly reliable maps of reality, which then allows us to deeply understand the mechanics of life.
And trust me, we need those rigorous methods because the sheer scale of the subject we're dealing with is just staggering. 1.5 million. Take a second to wrap your head around that. That is the approximate number of species currently described and given scientific names on Earth right now. 1.5 million distinct types of living organisms. And scientists are out there finding more every single day. To really understand how wild this biodiversity is, let's take a rapid look at just a few of these incredible life forms.
Consider the apex mammalian predator of the Arctic. The polar bear is an absolute masterclass in genetic and environmental adaptation. We're talking thick fur, a deep, deep layer of blubber, and massive paws that are entirely designed to conquer freezing extremes. Literally every inch of its biology is optimized for survival in a very specific, incredibly harsh world.
Now contrast that polar bear with the cobra. We've instantly shifted from Arctic ice to entirely different, warmer climates, and look at how the biology completely reinvents itself. No limbs, scales instead of fur, and a highly specialized venomous defense system. It perfectly emphasizes the vast, incredible differences in survival structures across those millions of species we just talked about.
And of course, the variety doesn't just stop on the ground. Check out this brilliant bluebird in mid-flight.
Its biology showcases hollow bones and specialized feathers beautifully engineered to conquer the air. When you place these three creatures side by side, the sheer abundance and variety of life on Earth becomes almost overwhelming, doesn't it?
So, how do biologists manage all this overwhelming variety? Through taxonomy. Now, this isn't just about grouping and naming things for the fun of it, it's the ultimate biological database. It allows us to find the hidden evolutionary threads connecting something like a polar bear to its most distant ancestors. Without this system of classification, trying to make sense of the living world would be, frankly, pure chaos.
And one of the sharpest tools in that taxonomic database is morphology, the study of the external features of an organism. By carefully comparing external forms, shapes, and structural functions, biologists essentially get to act as evolutionary detectives. They're out there uncovering deep genetic relationships that are hidden in plain sight, often between creatures that might seem completely unrelated at first glance.
And this brilliantly illustrates the puzzle biologists have to solve. Take a close look. Notice the underlying bone structures compared on the left side there. We're looking at a human arm, a bird's wing, and a whale's flipper. Then compare that to the wings on the right, looking at a butterfly versus a bat. We are actively comparing deep structural similarities against functional similarities.
So what does this all mean? Well, it boils down to two absolutely crucial concepts. Homologous structures, like the human arm and the whale flipper we just saw, share a similar structural layout despite having completely different functions, which reveals a shared evolutionary history. Analogous structures, on the other hand, are kind of like nature's parallel thinking. A butterfly and a bat both evolved wings to fly, but they built them using completely different biological architectures. That means they developed those traits independently of one another.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that from the invisible 3D structures of our DNA right up to the wings of a bat, life is just this beautifully interconnected web of adaptation. It really makes you think. If we've only identified 1.5 million species so far, what other microscopic and macroscopic wonders are still hiding out there in the dark, just waiting to be found and maybe even rewrite the entire blueprint of life?